What you just saw is a complete CRM system built entirely inside Excel. Hi, I'm Jacob, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to build this from scratch. You will build a client management system with a searchable interface, a full service and activity tracker, a notes and timeline system, task management, and an analytic dashboard, a schedule system, document generation, and email automation, all connected to deployed as a finished product. This is not a spreadsheet. This is a business software built in Excel. If you want to follow along, use the timestamp in the description to jump to any section, and there's also a starter link with the sheets and user form layouts. There's a link in the pinned comment. Let's build it. Before we're jumping into building this, I have made it even easier for you to follow along. You can download a free starter template using the link in the description. It includes the dataset structure for clients and services, along with the basic user form layout we're going to build on. So instead of starting from a blank file, you can jump straight into the important parts and follow everything step by step. If you're serious about learning how to build systems like this, I highly recommend downloading it and working alongside the video. Link is in the description if you want to follow along. This looks like Excel, but it behaves like a full CRM system. You can add clients, assign services, and everything updates instantly. What you're seeing here isn't just data entry. It's a structured system where everything is connected. Instead of working inside cells, you are interacting with a full interface that controls everything behind the scenes. Let me show you why this actually matters. This is how most people manage this in Excel. They have one big sheet, they scroll around, try to find the right client, manually filter data, and it quickly becomes messy and hard to manage. Now compare that to this. Instead of searching through rows, I can just select a client and instantly see everything related to them. No filtering, no scrolling, no guesswork. If you want to update something, I don't edit cells directly. I just load the record, make the change and update it. Everything stays structured, and when it comes to adding new data, I'm not worrying about where to place it or breaking formulas. The system handles it automatically. This is the difference between using Excel as a spreadsheet and using it as a system. And this is exactly where most businesses lose time. Small inefficiencies like this, scrolling, searching, fixing mistakes, they add up fast. A system like this removes that friction completely and gives you a much clearer way to manage your data. Let's build the interface from scratch. I start by opening the VBA editor with Alt F11 and then insert a new user form. This is going to be the front end of the system, the part the user actually interacts with. First, I resize the form and position it so it has enough space to hold both clients and services. Then I begin layering out the structure using frames to separate different sections. On the left side, I create a section for clients, and on the right side, a section for services. Next, I start adding input fields. For clients, I add text boxes for name, company, email, and phone number. And then I include a drop down for status so we can easily track whether a client is a lead, active, or inactive. Of course, you can adjust this to your own needs. After that, I add the action buttons, things like add client, edit, delete, and clear. These are what will control the system later on. But for now, I'm just focusing on getting the layout right. Then I move over to the services section. I repeat the same structure, adding input fields for service name, price, dates, status, and notes. Again, I add buttons for adding, editing, and deleting services. Once the inputs are in place, I add list boxes. These are what will display the data. One list shows all clients, and the other shows services. I resize them carefully so they fit cleanly within the layout and leave enough room for interaction. Then I go through and align everything, spacing, sizing, and positioning, so the interface looks clean and consistent. This step is important because even small layout improvements make a big difference in usability. After that, I add labels for each field, so it's clear what each input is for. I also add a title at the top to give the form a more polished look. Finally, I apply some basic styling, adjusting colors, fonts, and button appearance to give it a more modern user interface feel instead of the default Excel look. At this point, the structure is complete. We now have a full interface with inputs, buttons, and data displays, all ready to be connected to logic in the next steps. Here's how the system works. On the left, we have clients, and on the right, services linked to each client. When I select a client, only their services appear. So instead of one big, messy data set, everything is structured and connected. This is what allows us to build something that behaves more like an application than a spreadsheet. This entire system is built using Excel and VBA. We have a front-end interface, the form, and the logic running behind the scenes in code. Instead of users interacting directly with a raw data, they interact with a clean user interface, and VBA handles storing, updating, and filtering everything. That separation is what makes this feel like real software. Let's start with adding a client. When I click this button, we take everything from the form and store it in the client's sheet. This line ensures we always write to the next available row, so we never overwrite existing data. That's a key pattern in Excel automation. Always safely appending new records. Each client gets a unique ID automatically. Instead of relying on names which can duplicate or change, we use a stable identifier. This is what allows us to connect different parts of the system reliably. It's a simple concept, but it's exactly how structured systems and databases work. Now this is where it becomes a real system. When I add a service, we take the selected client's ID and attach it to that service. So every service is tied to a specific client. This is essentially creating a relationship between two datasets, which is what allows everything else like filtering and editing to work correctly. When I switch between clients, only their services appear. Behind the scenes, we loop through all services and only return the ones that match the selected client ID. Without this, you just see a long, unfiltered list. This is what makes the system feel dynamic and responsive. We can also edit records easily. When I select a client, we use the ID to locate the exact row in the sheet and update it. We're not relying on visual searching. We're targeting the data directly. That's what makes the system accurate and scalable. If I delete a client, we also remove all related services. The important detail here is that we loop backwards through the data. If you loop forward while deleting, Excel can skip rows. This approach ensures everything is removed safely and consistently. Double-clicking a record loads it back into the form instantly. That means you can quickly review or edit data without retyping anything. These small usability features are what make the system efficient to work with day to day. Here's the full workflow in action. Add a client, assign services, switch between them, edit records, and manage everything in one place. If you want more systems like this, I share daily automation content on Instagram. You can follow me at jacob.automation. I break this stuff down step by step, and you can watch more behind the scenes videos. All right, we're back in the user form design mode. Now we will add 4 labels, 2 for service alert and 2 for last contacted. And then we will add a button to send reminders to clients. First, I want to make this list box a little bit smaller and move the label down here because we need more space here for the labels. Let's just copy paste the first label down here, and we will call that service status, and then we will copy paste it down and add another one here, that's called last contacted. We don't have to rename these labels up here because we will not use them in the code, but just for simplicity, we can just call them LBL service alert title, even though we don't use it directly in the code. It's also good to structure your control with names. And this one we can call LBL last contacted title. Then we're gonna copy labels again and put them next to each other. Now these ones are very important because these labels we're gonna use in the code. And we're gonna leave the caption blank because we're gonna have the code populated with colors and captions. So this one we'll call LBL service alert, and this one we will call LBL last contacted. So we added a dynamic service alert label to the dashboard, which means it shows you visually what's the status of this combo box. So it's quick to see what service we have and what statuses they are. They could be completed, overdue, due soon, or on track. And last contact is simply when did we last send them a follow-up email. So we're gonna copy paste this button here and put it around here, expand it and call it send reminder. And up here we're gonna call it btn send reminder. So we can see here now that we have service status and last contact, and the other labels we cannot see because we need the system to first of all say here no contacted or not contacted yet if we haven't contacted them yet, and have a service status label here based on if they're overdue, complete, in progress. What we also created here is an email log system sheet where we have logged emails we've sent. And we want the system to log with an ID, date sent, which client ID we have sent to, client name, email, service name, and due date and status. And at the same time also have an extra column here, last contacted. In column I, we're just gonna skip column H, we can use it for something else later. But this column tells us when was the last day we contacted them. And that's where the system picks this state up and displays it in the label last contacted. So that's the idea behind it. So to sum up, you need to add these 4 labels and send reminder button and create this sheet email log and add an extra column here in column I for last contacted. All right, so we just need to text alignment these labels. Right now it's on the left. There's no caption, but there will be when the code handles it. We just need to change it to text alignment center for both of them. That looks way better. And now we're ready to the code breakdown. We double click on the form and we go find sub update service alert. Now let's build a smart service alert system that updates automatically based on service status and due dates. First we check if no service is selected and reset the alert label to a default gray state. Then we grab the current service status and safely convert the due date. If the service is completed, the label turns green automatically. If the due date already passed, we instantly flag it as overdue in red. Services due within 3 days get a yellow warning badge, and everything else stays blue and on track. The alert changes based on due dates and service statuses. Whenever we select a service, the alert updates automatically. We'll use color coding to improve usability. Now let's automate reminder emails directly from Excel using Outlook and VBA. Double-click on the Send Reminder button. First, we validate that the service is actually selected before running the automation. Then we prevent reminders from being sent for completed services. Next, we grab all the important service information like client ID, service name, and due date. Since Excel dates can be tricky, we safely format the due date before using it in the email. Now we loop through the client's sheet to find correct client email and client name. We also validate that the client exists and actually has an email address. Next comes the real automation part. We connect Excel directly to Outlook. Then we dynamically generate the email with a personalized subject line and message body. And instead of sending instantly, we display the email first so the user can review it. Finally, every reminder email gets logged automatically into a dedicated email log sheet. We generate a unique log ID, store the timestamp, client details, service details, and reminder status. And we also update the client's last contacted date to keep the CRM fully synchronized. Now let's build a client activity tracking system directly inside the CRM. First, we loop through the client's sheet and find the selected client by ID. Then we read the client's last contacted date from column I. If a valid date exists, we display it directly inside the dashboard, inside the user form. Next, we use color coding to identify inactive clients automatically. Red means inactive, yellow means warning, and green means recently contacted. The contact history is stored directly in the client sheet. So for example, if we try to send a reminder to this client, we also have built in a message box. This service is already completed, no reminder needed. So you avoid sending reminders to unnecessary services that's completed. But in case we have an overdue here, we can send a reminder. And here we have a reminder to Michael Brown. This is a quick reminder that the service reporting automation was due on 13th of April 2026. Let me know if you need anything. Best regards. A simple follow-up email to our client about an overdue service. And now when we close the form down, we can go into clients and see Michael Brown have last been contacted 7th of May. And you can also see an email log here from the email we just sent it. Now when we go into the form again and look at Michael Brown and take the second service, it says overdue, last contacted 7th of May 2026. That's what we just built here. Finally, we also clear service fields, including our service fields, ID, name, price, date, due date, status, notes, and remove selection in our list box, setting LSD service.list index equal -1, which basically means we remove our selection. And then we update service alert. And when you have selected your clients or services, you can just click all clients and it resets. The same goes with searching a client, click all clients. All right, we're back in the user form design mode. What I want to add real quick is 2 extra buttons. One to mark every service complete, which basically means when you have your form like this, it's marked as complete. This one is marked as overdue. So instead of changing the combo box, a quick extra feature would just be to have a button below this button that says mark as complete, and then it just changes and mark it as complete. Fast, a little quick, that improves the system overall. And then one more button below that to open an email to a client. So not necessarily send a reminder, but if you want to just contact the client, it would be nice also to have the email pop up with the client's email. So you can schedule a call, send an invoice, and so on. That's what we're gonna take a look at right now. First, we move this button up a little bit, and then we copy it 2 times, like so. And then we move them up a little bit more, something like this. And this one will be called marked complete and called BTN mark complete, and also the caption mark completed here. And then the next one, we're gonna call that open client email. So the idea is that this will open the client's email with a blank email, so you can have more flexibility what you want to send the client. And for that, we're gonna call the button BTN open client email, like so. Expand them out a little bit so the whole text can be there, like so. And now we're gonna look at the code. Now that we have added some quick workflow action buttons to the CRM, these buttons will speed up common client management tasks. The button btn mark completed will instantly mark service completed. First, we grab the selected service directly from the list. Then we update the service status directly inside the worksheet. Finally, we refresh the CRM automatically. The service alert updates immediately after completion. Next, let's create a one-click client email shortcut. This is the Open Client Email button. We first get the client's email address. Then we connect directly to Outlook using VBA. The email recipient is filled automatically. We'll also preload a simple professional signature. Instead of sending automatically, we open the draft for review. That's what .display is for. Now let's test the new quick action workflow inside the CRM. Alright, let's open the CRM and test the new features. We have a service status complete here and we have one overdue. So let's mark this one service marked as completed. And we can see here it's been marked as completed. The same goes with this one, service marked as completed. Another thing here, marked as completed, we also make it pop up select the service first. That was the first message box check we did, because we need to select a service first. Let's just mark this as complete as well. So it seems to be working. Now let's test open client email. Select the client first. That's what we wanted to do because we don't have a selection. We haven't selected the client yet. Now we can just select David Clark, for example, and open client email. And here we can see David's email has been submitted to the email draft. We don't have a subject line, which gives us flexibility, and we have our signature, best regards, Jacob Automation. You can change that in the code to fit your signature. We can also have a symbol at the end if you have a signature image. We can also make it draw from an email template, so we can send out different type of email templates. And right now, it doesn't update that we contacted the person. And for now, let's just leave it like this, because it could be that you open an email draft and end up not sending the email. So this label will only update when we send a reminder. We are in Visual Basic Studio. Let's insert a user form. We can get rid of the caption here and set the width to 738. Then we insert a label on top and call that notes, text alignment in the center. And we can change the height to 24 and the width to 738, just like the form. Then we insert 3 frames where we display different things. The first thing is for the clients. We have a frame that displays all the details for the clients. Just get rid of the caption, we don't need that. We set the height to 66 and the width to 714, like so. And then we're gonna name it FRA client header. Then we can take it, copy, paste it down. This will be our timeline, so we can call it FRA timeline. We can change it to 264 in height and width 504. We can also copy paste this frame, but I'm worried that it will be inside this frame, so let's just insert it manually next to it. Something like this. Remove the caption. And this one is called FI add node, and we can change that to height 264, just like the other one, and width 204. Then we will start from the top. This is where we have the client details. So we'll start with a new frame we insert here. Something like this. Get rid of the caption again. And this one we will call FIA avatar PG background. And for that we'll have height 50 and also width 50. Then we insert a label inside of the frame. We can set height as 24 and the width as 50, so it fits frame. Then we will have 3 frames here. That's this L client name. We also need to name this. This is very important because we're gonna use that in the code. So that we're gonna call LBL client avatar, which basically will display the client's initials. So Sarah Lee would be SL and will be centered in the middle. Then we copy paste this one. And then we have the status below. I can see we call it LPL client status. All these will be 12 in height and 90 in width. Except for status, we don't need it to be 90, we can do 60. Just move them up a little bit, like this. We just needed to spell company correct. It's not that important because all these three will be placeholders, will update in the code to display real client data. So the real name, the real company, and whether it's a lead or an active client. Then we will also have some layout labels just to divide the frame a little bit. And for that, we're gonna use a label and here remove the caption. And we will call that LPL vertical divider left. And that would be a small thing we can insert with a color. So we divide this whole frame so it looks visual better. Just a small touch to improve layout. And for that, we set the height to 54 and the width to 1. It needs to be a very tiny label we have here. Then we'll copy paste it over here and maybe insert it somewhere around here. Then let's just copy paste this one over here, somewhere around here. And here we will call it email. And I'm not gonna label this because we're not gonna use it in the code, just to keep it a little bit fast. And this one is important we label because we're gonna use that in the code. We're gonna call that LPL client email. And then we need the client's phone. And again, this we don't need to name in the control name. We're not gonna use it in the code. It's just to display a caption. And this one is client phone. We're gonna call that LPL client phone. And then we'll have this section where we will have last contacted and client ID. So this one will be last contacted, which we will not need to code here as well. And the next one is actually the last contacted. We can just have it the same in the caption. It's not really that important because the code will change that. Here, this one we will call LPL last contacted. Then we will copy paste it down. Here we will have LPL client ID. And that's our top frame with all our elements in. Let's move on to the frame for the timeline. Let's copy paste one of the labels. This one we're just gonna call activity timeline, like so. Then we're gonna insert a combo box below. We can just keep the height at 18 and maybe do 96 here in the width. And we're gonna call that CMB filter type. This is here we are gonna filter if it's an email, a follow-up, or a meeting, and we can expand that with more categories down the line if necessary. Then we insert a text box next to it, still height 18, and let's do 168 width. That we're gonna write pinned notes always appear first, which means that we will have a list box here, and if you pin your notes, they will appear on the top automatically. That's a nice small detail that will make this note form work very good. Then we're gonna have a list box below, and for that, we're gonna call it LST timeline. And we can set the height to 150, so a little bit smaller, and the width 485. Maybe we can rearrange this a little bit more to the left, or maybe it's something like this. We can always do the small touch and alignments later. Then we're gonna have column names or labels that works as column names for the list box so we can see what is actually been displaying in the list box. So the first one we're gonna call date. We're gonna call that LPL date header, copy paste it. And the next one, comment. Then all the notes we're gonna pin, we're gonna display with a star. And again, this will make sense later in the video. It's always good to keep the same structure because then it makes it way easier to code. So for all these, we're calling it LPL and then what it is, header. So LPL date header, LPL type header, LPL pinned header, LPL details header. And if we have another column, we can just use that format. It makes it easier to code it and way easier to structure your builds around. Then we will have a header on the bottom. So copy paste this, put it down here, maybe expand it a little bit and call it showing, let's just say 0 activities, and call it LBL activity count. This will display how many notes we have. When we search, it will update. So let's say we have 10 notes and then we search on meetings and now we have 3 meetings, then it will show down here showing 3 activities. That's the idea. Now let's move on to the last frame where we add notes. All right, the last frame we're gonna have a label on top again, and this one we're gonna call add edit notes, and we don't need that in the code, so we don't change the label. You can still name it if you want to keep your controls organized with LBL add edit notes, but we're not gonna do this. We're gonna keep it more efficient and move on. This one, we also don't need that in the code, so that's just the caption we need. Note type. You can also mark both of them, right click, align to the left. Then we might as well copy paste this combo box because we're gonna need it here, and we're gonna call it CMB note type and keep the height at 18 but set the width to 96, so we can just keep it as it is. Then let's copy paste the label down here and call that note, and here I can see we can move things more down, something like this, because then we can align these things on the side to fit the same position. Because here we're gonna have a text box. We can just copy paste this text box and we're gonna expand that, call it txt note, set height to 103 and width to 180. Then we will have 4 command buttons on the bottom. Let's just make one of them. That's the add node. And for that, we're gonna call it btn add node, and the height, set that to 24 and width 85. Copy it 3 times, so we'll have 4 buttons in total. The next one, right, edit node. This one is our delete node. And in our caption, also change it to delete node. And this one is our btn pin node with the caption pin/unpin node. Now we're almost done, but we're missing 2 labels that will make the pinned functionality way more effective. So we're gonna put 2 labels here. Let's start with the first one. And this one, we're gonna call it pinned. Maybe we can change the length. This one is called LBL pinned. And for that, we're gonna use 12 in height and 72 in width. Let's move it more inside. Maybe align it here. Text alignment to the center, very important. And then we're gonna copy paste a new label with no caption and set it 12 in height and 12 in width, and call this LBL pinned icon with a star. And for that, we can center align it as well. We put it on top of the other label. And the way this works is if we have a pinned comment or pinned node, these 2 labels will be invisible. Which also reminds me, we need a button here. We can just copy paste this in our CRM. And we can call that btn notes. And when we click this button, if we have a selection, it will open up the note form we just created. That's the whole idea of this part 3 of the CRM. Very exciting things, and now it's gonna be very interesting to go through every code section and connect the dots, and I will explain how this all works together so you can implement it in your own CRM. Before we move on, it's important that we label this LBL title. I forgot about that when we were building, but it doesn't matter. We just pick up on things we missed, and that's the whole process of building automation builds. You will always make mistakes, and it doesn't really matter. You will just pick up on it and adjust it along the way. Before jumping into the code, it's also important that you have made a new sheet down here, client notes, with these columns. You can download the new starter template where you have all the sheets inside if you don't want to create it yourself. A small quick upgrade we need here is actually, let's have a clear note button, because the thing is, when we click around the list box and the note type combo box and the note box get populated, but we want to add a note, then we have to clear it first. So if we have a button on top that just clears notes, it makes the form way more efficient. So we can just copy paste one of the buttons here, put on top, and just call it BT clear note. All right, and for better user form layout, I actually want the clear button to be here. Let's put it here temporarily. And we put the pinned unpinned button on top. And now all these 4 buttons are together. That makes way more sense. And now we are ready to jump into code breakdown. So the first code we need to take a look at is the notes button that opens the form we just created. A quick test: if we don't have a selection, a box pops up, select the client first. Then we can pick Michael Brown, for example, and now the form opens with his details. If we click on the bottom, we can see the code here on the top. So before opening the notes form, we first validate that a client is actually selected inside the CRM list. If no client is selected, we stop the process and show a warning message to the user. Once validation passes, the selected client ID directly from the hidden first column inside the client list box. Next, we pass the selected client ID into the notes form. This allows the form to load the correct client data automatically. Finally, we display the notes form itself. At this point, the full client profile and timeline system are ready to load. The rest of the code breakdown we'll walk through every code section in this new form we just created. It was just important to explain the button how this form opens. Instead of styling every control menu across the form, we call one dedicated styling procedure that handles the entire user form design system. I'm not going to go in depth with the style form, as it will look similar to the design we have in the CRM user form. Here we configure the timeline list box structure. We define how many columns the list box uses and control the width of every column. This section loads all available filter categories onto the filter dropdown. Next, we preload all available node categories used when creating new activities. Finally, we initialize the activity counter before any nodes are loaded into the timeline. Inside this procedure, we load all client information directly from the worksheet into the form. The client status badge change color dynamically depending on their client status. Here we display the client's latest contact date if one exists. The client initials are generated automatically using the first and last name. Once the client information finishes loading, we immediately load the client's timeline. Before rebuilding the timeline, we always clear the existing list box records first. Before filtering begins, we ignore the placeholder text so it doesn't interfere with searching. This is the core timeline engine. We first loop through pinned nodes so they always appear at the top of the activity feed. This is the core timeline engine. We first loop through pinned nodes so they always appear at the top of the activity feed. Next, we apply node category filtering based on the selected filter dropdown. Then we apply live keyword searching directly against the node text. Once a node passes all conditions, we push the formatted record directly into the timeline list box. Pinned node display a star icon directly inside the timeline. We also store the hidden node ID inside the list box, so we always know which backend record is selected. Finally, we update the activity counter so users can see how many records are currently visible. Whenever a node is selected, we instantly load the full node data into the edit section of the form. The pin button and badge update dynamically depending on whether the selected node is pinned. Double-clicking a timeline item automatically moves focus into the node editor for faster editing. As users type info into the search box, the timeline refreshes automatically in real time. When the search box becomes active, we automatically remove the placeholder text. The search box is left empty, we restore the placeholder automatically. Before saving a node, we validate both the node test
and node category. Every node receives a unique ID generated directly from the worksheet. Next, we save the node directly into the client nodes worksheet. After saving, we instantly clear the input fields for the next activity. Finally, the timeline refreshes automatically so the new node appears instantly. Editing works by locating the selected node ID and updating the existing worksheet record. Before deleting, we first validate that a node is selected. Once confirmed, the selected worksheet row is permanently deleted. This section handles pinning and unpinning nodes dynamically. After refreshing the timeline, we automatically reselect same nodes to preserve the user experience. The clear button resets the node editor, removes the active selection, restores the default pin status, and focuses the cursor back into the node editor. So now that the node system is fully working inside our Excel VBA CRM, we can track client activities instantly. Pin important nodes on top, unpin them so they go back to regular nodes, and we can pin other nodes to stay on top. We can also search which meetings we have. If we have a lot of nodes, it's nice to have a note that we have a meeting walk through automation workflow with operation teams. Or we can search in notes. We can see on top that the client is active and his details that we last contacted on 7th of May. We can unpin notes and pin notes as we like. Open Olivia's notes and see she's a lead. The status bar is yellow. We haven't contacted her. We have a pinned note here. Client added to monthly newsletter campaign. We can check Emma Wilson's. She is currently inactive, so the status bar is red. We haven't contacted her. We have a pinned comment here. Client requested additional reporting features, but since she's inactive, maybe we could unpin the comment. Email, send updated macro version with bug fixes. Now let's edit a note. We'll write here additional notes, bug fixed in last email, note updated. Provided temporary workaround during support call. Maybe we can pin this and write follow-up call next week. Edit. And now the note is edited and also stays on top because it's pinned. This already makes the CRM feel much more like a real business application instead of just a spreadsheet. All right, we are in the CRM form, and what we want to do here is add an extra button that opens the task form that we're gonna create in this video. So we go to Visual Basic, Alt F11, insert user form. Then we're gonna get rid of the caption. And then we're gonna set the height for the form to 475 and the width to 880. And then, as usual, we're gonna have a title on the top that we could call tasks, and you can center it in the middle and do size 20. And that's the beginning of our form. I'm not gonna show you the whole drag and drop elements in, so let's just skip the build phase and I'm gonna walk you through what we are building in this video. So this is our finished form that allows us to track tasks to all our services we have for our clients. A quick walkthrough of all the control names, plus there's also a free starter template for this video where you have the sheets and an overview over the form so you can build it yourself. We have the LBL title on the top. Then we have our frame, FR avatar BG, stands for background, and we have our LBL client avatar that will display in the client's initials. And we have our labels, that's just a header, and this will change depending on what service we have. So that we're gonna call LBL service name. That's one very important label we're gonna use in our code. This is the header again for the service status. We're not gonna use that in the code. For this, we're gonna use LBL service status that will change depending on what status our service is. And then we have our bar here that is our progress text, LBL progress text that will change. So that will, for example, display 1 out of 3 tasks completed if we have 3 tasks in the list box and one of them is completed. And then we have a percentage that's displaying the real percentage. So if we have 3 tasks and 1 task is complete out of the 3, it would display 33% here. And this is our progress bar that will display in a frame here. FI progress, BG background, CMB task filter, CMB priority filter, and a search box here, TXT search task. And all our tasks will be displayed here, and those are connected to our services in the CRM, which is pretty cool because they speak together. So you can have a service, for example, if a client wants a full CRM, then there can be some task underneath that we can manage very easily and see where we are in the project fulfillment phase. And you can also assign it to other people. Then we have some KPIs below. The first one, LBL overdue tasks, and the second one, LBL due today, LBL completed tasks, and these will display with color codes as well to give it a more modern look. Then the idea is when we click the list box, the task will be displayed in this overview where we have our task title, TXT task title, and our CMB priority, status, due date, assigned to, and notes. And notes we can actually expand as we can have multiple lines here written. In case we need longer notes, you can see here, if we scroll, multi-line equal true. So we can actually have multiple lines here. Then we can add a new task. We can edit a task, and we can delete a task. We can mark task as complete and clear. So that's an overview over our form. And again, there's a link in the description if you want to follow along with a starter template that have all the user form overviews so you can follow along and build it yourself. If we take a look in the workbook, we can see a new service task here, which is having a unique task ID. So every time we create a new task, we will add the next ID to the sheet. For example, 16, 17, 18, and so on, and select the correct client ID and the correct service ID. This is very important because the task needs to be connected to a client and a service. Then it writes the task title, the priority, the status, assigned date, due date, and complete date, and assigned to you. You can fill that combo box with your coworkers if you have, very easily. And in column K, we display the notes. That's the overview over this form we're building in this video. In real CRM systems, tasks belong under services or projects, not directly under clients. A client may have multiple projects or services running at the same time. So we are linking task ID to service ID, so we easily can track what task belongs to each services and to which clients. This gives us clear reporting, better automation, and more scalable workflows. Before working with tasks, we need to load the selected client and service information into the form. Because the user launched the form from a service, we already know exactly which records to retrieve. This ensures we get the right service info and the right client details into our task form, so it all stays connected. So in the CRM form, you click a client, you select the service and open the task form, and only relevant tasks connected to that service gets loaded into the form with all the client details and service details. Next, we load every task linked to the selected service ID. This keeps tasks organized by service and ensures users only see relevant work. This is here we go an extra level into the service and manage all tasks that belongs to that service. We can add new tasks, delete tasks, and all the elements in the form updates accordingly. That will mean if we have 3 tasks under that service and we add new tasks, the progress bar will also say 4 tasks in total, and the percentage will change accordingly. It's all connected together. We have our status filter. So if you select all tasks, you set it back to showing all tasks. But you can also filter in the status filter. So you can see, for example, overdue or completed tasks. In the search filter, we can also search out text from tasks to quickly get an overview of the task. And the LBL task counter caption will change accordingly to however many tasks we have in the list box. When a task is selected, we load all of its details into the editor panel so it can be updated, completed, or reviewed. So this is here the list box. Draw the information from service tasks sheet, the new sheet we just created. And that will have all the data
in the sheet from row 2 to last row. But the list box will only show tasks that's connected to that client and to that service. If we click on Add Task button, this here will validate the required fields and generate a unique task ID and save the task to our service as tasks sheet. We will validate that all the required fields are filled in before entering a new task. And the next task ID starts with 1, and then we add 1 to it. So that task ID is unique for that task and get pinned to client. And the final step is we write the data from the input fields in the task form to the client sheet and make a message box pop up with task added. Then we will load tasks, update task stats, update service progress, and finally run btn clear tasks, so it's ready to enter new tasks. Let's have a look at the edit button. Editing allows us to locate an existing task and overwrite it with the latest information. Again, we validate if the input fields have been filled in. And if every infill field is filled in and we have selected a task ID, then we're going to overwrite all the details in the sheet for that task ID with task title, priority, task status, task due date, GMB assigned to TXT task notes, and give an update message box task updated, load task again, update task status, update service progress, and clear the fields. Delete task button is doing similar lookup from the task ID. Gives a warning with a message box, delete task, yes or no. Then it deletes the entire row. If you select yes. Mark task completed. When a task is completed, we update its status and completion date for reporting purposes. That way it's easier to complete your task with one click. Following a similar structure, using task ID to change column 6 to completed and column 9 today's date. And then it runs all the other workflows we've seen in the other buttons with load task, update task stats, update service progress, and come with a message box, task completed. This workflow following the same structure, that makes it work more streamlined and user have an easier way to use the tool and get value out of it. In all these 3 boxes for status, priority, and search task, we will have a load task inside it. And the load task we went through in the beginning of this code breakdown. But it's important to have them in all these boxes so the task actually get filtered when we select values and type a text in the box. Then we have update service progress. Instead of manually calculating progress, we derived completion percentage directly from the underlying task data. This is here our LBL progress text update with 0 out of 0 tasks completed and dynamically count how many tasks are completed out of how many tasks. So if we have 3 tasks and 1 task is completed, the label automatically updates to 1 of 1 task completed out of 4 tasks. Build progress fill with is set to 0 but will update accordingly. And we have a sync service status that will sync the service in the CRM, but more about that later. Finally, the LBL progress text also update with text in LBL progress field. We're gonna set the width equal FIA progress BG with multiplied progress percent, which basically means we have the frame and we are gonna use that width to multiply progress percent. The sync service status is a very important workflow, and this is where the CRM becomes truly connected. Service status are automatically updated based on task completion progress, which means if you have a service in the CRM that's pending, and then you fill in all your tasks marked as complete in the task form, you will sync the CRM datasheet and change the service to complete. Before we can manage tasks, we need a way to launch the task manager from the CRM. First, we check that the service has been selected, then capture the client ID and service ID from the selected row, pass those values into our task form, and load the relevant data. This allows every task to stay connected to the correct client and service automatically. And that's our task management module complete.
We can now create tasks, track progress, automate service statuses, and manage work directly inside the CRM. We're building the CRM operations center for our Excel VBA CRM system. We'll create KPIs cards, dynamic filtering, workload tracking, and a centralized dashboard that gives us real-time overview over client activity and service delivery. Let's insert a user form. We get rid of the caption and set the form name to FRM Operations Center. Then we set the height to 495 and the width to 882. Then we set a label on top. That's our title, CRM Operations Center, font 16. Next, I create the first KPI card. Each card consists of a frame and 3 labels, a title, a large number that will display the KPI value, and a short description underneath. Once the first card is finished, there's no reason to rebuild the others from scratch. I simply copy and paste the entire card 3 times, position them across the top of the dashboard, and update the caption. Next, we insert 2 frames, one for our overview and a summary. Then we position the elements correctly. And we insert a filter frame on the bottom. Then we insert a combo box on top that should display our view of all clients, so we can filter for clients. And then we insert some labels. And then we insert 2 list boxes, one on active view and one on service summary. On the bottom, we'll insert 3 combo boxes to filter our CRM operations set, and at the bottom, a clear filter. And that's it. That's the full build. All right, we just need to create a button here that will open our new form. So we go to Visual Basic, Alt F11. Then we go to our form, FRM CRM, and we can just copy paste this button. And we can change the caption to Operations Center and make it a little bit longer. I set it to width 96. Call it BTN Operations Center. Double click and write FRM Operation Center.show. So now it opens our form we just built. Now let's take a look at the code inside of this CRM Operations Center, and it will be styled and our combo boxes will be filled in. And all the functionalities will work. So this becomes our CRM Operations Center. A small detail, let's put an S here, CRM Operations Center. And now we're ready to jump into the code breakdown. We're back in the user form we just created. Let's double click here and let's have a quick code breakdown. The first code we're going to look at is when the Operations Center loads, we initialize the dashboard, configure our list boxes, load drop-down filters, and then populate all. The Operations list box display task, title, client service, status, and due date. The Workload panel uses 2 columns, service name and active task count. Rather than refreshing controls individually, we centralize everything into one dashboard refresh. We dynamically load all clients from client's worksheet into the dashboard view selector. First, we populate our database dashboard filters, and next we load the available task statuses. Service names are loaded dynamically from services worksheet, ensuring new services appear automatically. To prevent duplicates, we check whether a service already exists before adding it. Tasks store IDs, so we translate client IDs into readable client names. The same approach is used for service IDs. We use the service sheet to find and get the right service name. We're gonna use one of the best ways in VBA to do that is using a for-I loop that loops through row 2 to last row. And then we get the service name from column 3 if there's a match in column 1 with the service ID. This function becomes the filtering engine for the entire dashboard. We validate service filters here. Status filtering is handled central as well. Finally, we apply based filtering such as today, this week, and this month. Before rebuilding the dashboard, we clear existing records. Every task is evaluated against our centralized filter engine before being displayed. Once a task passes all filters, we load it into the operations center. The dashboard title updates dynamically to reflect the active filter selection. We here also use a select case for the CMB date filter with 4 cases, which makes it easy to adjust the code in case you want to see filtering on different levels. Right now we have options for filtering for today, this week, this month, last 30 days. But we could also add one that says last 3 months, last 6 months, or last 12 months, or this year or last. So you can play around with this to make it fit what you want it to do. And then you just add another case on our select case and write the right code below. Our first KPI tasks, overdue tasks that are not complete. Next, we identify tasks due today. Finally, we calculate active work currently in progress. The calculated values are pushed directly into the dashboard card. The workload panel summarizes active tasks by service. Completed tasks are ignored, so we focus only on active workload. Each service receives a workload count inside the summary panel. Clicking a service instantly applies that services as a dashboard filter. Whenever a filter changes, the entire dashboard refreshes automatically. So for example, this one where we have all our clients, we accept sub if it's loading. Otherwise we call refresh dashboard. And you can see you have it in all the combo box below here, which is this one for clients, this one for data filter, this one for services, and this one for CMD state, which means this is for clients, this is for dates, and this is for services, and this is for statuses. Then we have our clear button here. The clear button resets every filter back to the default state. That's the full code breakdown. Now let's test everything. All right, let's test the system. We click on start to open our CRM up, and then we click Operations Center. Now we're in the new form we just created. We have our KPI cards on the top, where we can see 1 overdue tasks and 3 due today. So these 2 cards is a combination of overdue tasks. So there's 4 overdue tasks where 3 of them are due today. And we have 28 in progress and 0 with no activity. Here on top we have all our clients, but we can also search individual clients to see an overview here. We can see here John Carter, he has 1 overdue task today and 3 in progress. He has 3 different projects with 2 tasks that hasn't been completed for each project. We click on, for example, the monthly maintenance and see that it works. We have the completed monthly maintenance update plugins that's completed, but the 2 others, run backup and security checks, are incomplete. 1 in progress, 1 pending. We can clear filters here and the KPI cards resets nicely. Then we can also filter for today, which is very valuable to see which are due today. We have 1 in progress and 3 due today. As you can see here, we have the 3 tasks that is due today. Let's clear filter again, and now we can also filter from services, website setup, monthly maintenance, CRM setup, and so on. And the KPIs update as we filter. You can also have a quick overview over all the pending tasks or in progress, completed, and here we have all the completed tasks, which makes sense that this service summary is blank because this service summary only shows tasks that is not completed. One thing I've learned from working in finance and operations is that you don't manage everything equally. You manage exceptions. That's why dashboards like this focus on overdue tasks, tasks due today, and inactive clients. The goal is not to track every activity. The goal is to quickly identify where attention is needed. Another lesson is that visibility creates accountability. When work is spread over different spreadsheets, emails, and conversations, it's difficult to know where projects are standing. By summarizing workflow per service, you can right away see where you need to focus. And that can save you time and money at the end of the day. We now have a fully functional operations center capable of tracking tasks, monitoring active services, highlighting overdue work, and providing real-time operational visibilities. In this part, we're building a global search system that allows us to instantly search clients, services, tasks, and notes from a single interface. We'll also be able to jump directly into the selected client, service, task, or notes without manually navigating through the CRM. This is what connects the whole system so you can fast and quickly find the relevant things for your work and your business. Let's take a look at the finished result. And as always, you can download free starter template, sample dataset, and user form overview from the link below. Now a quick demo of what we're building here today. We're gonna launch the CRM, open the global search, and then we have client, services, tasks, notes we can filter in. Let's say we wanna look at a task. Maybe we only wanna see for John Carter. You have 3 tasks. Then we can click one of them and we can display and see the tasks. We can also look at clients or services. And for example, I have all services completed. Then let's take a look at the reporting organization for Michael Brown. We can actually open it and it opens up Michael Brown's services. Could also click on services and select for Emma Wilson, select data migration and not open client but open services and select the service under Emma Wilson's. That's what we're gonna build here today, and that's gonna be very powerful because you can see how you can quickly navigate in the whole system. Let's jump to a task here. Let's just pick John's task for security check and open task. Then it jumps to the task manager. We can also do that for notes. We can search follow-up. And then take David Clark's follow-up. Client approval phase 1 delivers and open notes. And here we have the follow-up for the client delivers. Let's insert a user form. We call it FRM Global Search. We set height to 400 and width to 850. Then we're gonna have a label on top. This is our title, CRM Global Search, and a label below that. Then we're inserting a frame, copy pasted another frame on the right and one on the bottom. So we have 4 frames in total. The first frame, we have our search and filtering boxes, which is a text box and 2 combo boxes, and a clear button. Then we'll insert optional buttons that decides if we are searching in client, service, tasks, or notes, and then our list box. And then we have a label on the right that displays how many results there is in the list box. Then on the right, we will have 5 labels called type, client, service, status, and tasks. And then we will have 5 labels next to them that will be dynamically displaying which type, client, service, status, and task we have. On the bottom, we will have 5 command buttons: open client, open service, open task, open notes. That's our full build for this video. Now we just need a button to launch the global search form we created here. We're gonna create it next to this button, Operations Center. Copy paste the button. We call it Global Search. Name the button BTN Global Search. Write FRM Global Search .show. And that's it. Now it opens the form up, and now we move on with code breakdown and demo sections. A good CRM isn't about storing information. It's about finding information fast. The less time you spend clicking around looking for clients, tasks,
services, and notes, the more time you can actually spend getting work done. That's exactly what we're building here. Now let's jump into the code. Everything runs through a single search engine. Depending on the selected option button, we load clients, services, tasks, or notes. We also track hidden IDs for every record type so we can navigate back to the original records later. Watch how the same list dynamically changes between clients, services, tasks, and notes. Rather than using 4 list boxes, we dynamically rebuild a single list box structure. Each record type displays different information while using the same control. The first 4 columns are hidden and used to store record IDs. The remaining columns contain the visible data shown to the user. Every search module follows the same pattern: filter records, search records, and then populate the results. Here's where those columns get populated. Column 0 stores the client ID. Columns 4 through 7 contain the information displayed in the search results. The hidden ID structure allows us to track the exact record being selected, which later makes the navigation system possible. The services reuse the same architecture, but pull data from a different worksheet, which means now we draw information from the client sheets, now the service sheet, the task sheets, and the note sheets. So it dynamically changes depending on which option we have selected. Statuses also update here. This search filtering are searching in the client sheet. But if we change the services, now it's showing service statuses. And you can see here, it comes up. The same goes for tasks. This is status over tasks. And we can search here, test, automation. Tasks work exactly the same way while tracking service relationships with status filter, client filter, search, and add to list box. Notes add an additional pinned and unpinned filtering system. This allows us to find pinned comments fast and quickly for each client. And here we have all the pinned notes. Each module dynamically loads its own filter options based on the active search mode. This is what we saw here: statuses for services, statuses, and statuses for notes. Whenever a result is selected, we capture all hidden IDs and store them for later navigation. These are the 4 submodules that show which selection we have in clients, services, tasks, and notes. We have John Carter, nothing in services, but completed and deployed website, which we can upgrade later, so also show service. In notes, we have Sarah, no service, an unpinned note, which is a meeting category. Then we have the 4 buttons that opens client service from the CRM form, and open task from the task form, and open notes from the note form, which is very valuable because we can jump between forms and see the things we want to see very quickly and efficient. These are the 4 buttons. The search system isn't just for finding records, it's also a navigation hub. We can jump directly into the selected service. Note loads directly into the note management system. And that's what we see here. If we jump into Olivia, then we have selected Olivia with all her services. Or we can pick David Clark and open his services, or open his task, open his notes. So we open the CRM setup for Sarah Lee. And you can see CRM setup is already selected under Sarah Lee. Then we can take Emma Wilson's migration planning. And then we can see under data and migration, she has 1 out of 3 tasks completed, which we selected in the global search form. So it jumps to the right relevant data at the right form. We can also jump to a pinned note. For example, Olivia Martin, jump to note. And we can see here, she has a pinned note here. To make this work so we can navigate from the global search form, the other forms, the CRM form, the task form, and the notes form. Here we have the public selected task by ID. So we can actually jump from the global search form into the task form and select the right client and the right service. And here on the bottom, we have the public selected node by ID that allows us to jump from the global search form into the node form. And that's the global system complete. We can now search and navigate clients, services, tasks, and nodes from one single interface. So far, we built client management, service tracking, communication history, task management, operational dashboard, and advanced workflow views and filtering. But there's still one major thing missing: time. A CRM should not just know who your clients are or what work needs to be completed. It also needs to know when that work needs to be done. In this video, we are building a complete scheduling and calendar workspace directly into our CRM. We'll be able to schedule meetings, follow-ups, projects, and operation activities while managing workload around an entire month from a single interface. Let's jump in. First, we insert a user form. We get rid of the caption and change the height to 570. We set the width to 580. Then we insert a label on top. That should be our title for the form. And we change the caption to Planning Center, font 20. Then we have a subtitle below, Plan and Manage Your Daily Activities. And now we start building the calendar with a drop down with month and a text box for year. Then we have a label that will display the month we're in. And then we have two command buttons that jumps back and forth from the month. 42 command buttons that will display the days in every month, depending on which month we're in. Below we have selected date and a frame where we display the selected date. And on the bottom we have a frame where we insert planned items on 3 columns on top of the list box. We have title, client, and category. And then planned items equals 0. That dynamically will count how many planned items we have. Then we move things around and we insert a frame on the right. Where we have our title, our client and category, and a description box. Here we can see what we have stored, and we can save, update, delete, and clear through the buttons. On the bottom we have 2 labels. The label on the left where we have a caption that explains what color the calendar means. And on the right we have monthly total. And that's it. That's the whole user form build. Then we just need to change the user form name to FRM Planning Center, like so. So we can find it down here. Then we go to our CRM, copy paste one of the bottoms, and call this Planning Center. And change the bottom to BTN Planning Center. Double click and write FRM Planning Center .show, and that's it. Now we have a button here that launches the Planning Center form we just built. Before we jump into the code, if you want to follow along, there's a starter template you can download with the sheet structure and an overview over all our controls we're using in this user form. That's a good way to follow along in this video. Link is in the description. But a quick overview. We have our combo box for the month, CMB month, and our text box, TXT year. Then we have our label, it'll be a month that dynamically changes when we select a month and a year. And then we have BTN previous or BTN PRV. And BTN next. Then we have our buttons here, BTN date 1 to 42. We have a label here that changes dynamically, and our list box, ST schedule. And when we click these things, these 4 input boxes get populated: TXT title, CMB client, So it'll be category and a TXT description with a multi-line equal to, so you can write multiple lines. Then we have our 4 buttons: btn save, btn update, btn delete, btn clear. And on the bottom, we have a monthly total, LBL monthly totals that display all monthly totals. We also have this one, LBL item count, that just counts how many items there are in the list box. That's the quick overview. But again, there's a starter template with an overview of the controls and this sheet structure. Link is in the description. Let's jump into the CRM and go to the planning center. Now you can see we're in June, and we can jump to July, and it updates. It updates with the dates, and we have activity in all the green boxes here. We don't have anything in the blue ones, but we have activity in the green ones. So our CRM can now manage appointments, follow-ups, meetings, workload planning from a centralized scheduling workspace. Everything starts by loading clients, categories, the calendar, controls, and the current month review. And now we're going to take a look at the draw calendar, which is an important element of this build. Rather than manually managing dates, the CRM dynamically generates the calendar based on the selected month and year. So we're using a for I loop to run from 1 to 42 of the buttons. These are the 42 buttons where we have btn date 1 all the way to btn date 42. We reset all the buttons to gray because we needed to dynamically change it back to blue where there is a date and green when there's actually activity. Then we draw the days from day counter 1 and set green with all the equal boxes that has planned items. So all the dates we draw from the sheet that is a match, the box will be turned in to green. So if this date equals selected date, then we set the button to orange, which we see here. And at the same time, this label updates with whatever button we select. And all the gray ones, you can't click those. So you can click the blue with no activity or the green with activity. Watch how the calendar automatically rebuilds as we move between months. Every day is evaluated individually so the CRM can visually identify scheduled activity. And we do that by the colors, as I mentioned before. This entire function is very important. Date has items. This function checks the scheduled database and determines whether appointments exist for a particular date. This is what we ran through before. Blue dates have no appointments, as you can see. Green dates contain scheduled activities. And you can also have multiple schedule things. So it's not just one activity per day. You can have multiple activities per day. We're going to take a look at that later. When a date is selected, the CRM stores the selected date and loads all reloaded schedule information. Each calendar cell is simple a button. Rather than writing date logic 42 times, every button calls the same select date procedure and passes its displayed day number into the calendar engine. The schedule list dynamically loads every appointment associated with the selected day. So here we have the elements. We have the title, we have the client name, and they have the category. And we also have a hidden schedule ID, so we can see which activities are connected to each date. And the label LBL item count, depending on how many items we have in the list box for that day. This is what we can see here. One item, we have a monthly check-in on the 24th of July. We can actually write one more thing. Let's say we have a follow-up meeting with a client. Let's say we have it with Emma Wilson. Meeting, follow-up, proposal sent last week. I mean, we could write it more in details, but you get the point. Then we click save. We can have 2 different things on the same day, also for 2 different clients. Here we have the save schedule.
Appointments are linked directly to CRM clients while storing titles, categories, and scheduling details. That's what we just saw before. Client records remain connected through hidden IDs, ensuring every appointment stays linked to the correct CRM record, which we can see here on the 24th of July. This stays connected to Emma Wilson because it gets her ID on the backend connected to this client. The same goes for all the other activities. It links to clients' IDs. So we know this is for Sophia, this website planning is for David Clark, and so on. Notice how this CRM have been evolving throughout the series. We started by managing client information, then communication, then tasks, and now scheduling. That's how real business software evolves, from storing data to managed operations. Selecting an appointment loads the complete record back into the form for editing. So when we click the list box, the client name, the title, the category, and description get loaded into the input fields on the right, which is basically this function. When we click here, it goes back into the input fields. Update schedule is similar to save schedule. The only difference is existing appointments can be modified without recreating records. So it loops through the dataset to check if the ID exists already. And if it does, it updates the whole row. For example, if we're in July and we look at the 30th of July, we have a contract review for Daniel Hall, task review service agreement. Then we can update it. For example, service agreement accepted. Onboarding call 3rd of August. And then instead of clicking save, we click update. Now let's pick another date and click here. So we change this. And now we go back to 30th of July to see if it's updated. And it's working. And the delete schedule is simply deleting appointments. So appointments can also be removed while keeping the calendar synchronized. We can delete this one, delete this item, yes or no. If we click no, nothing happens. And if we click yes, it deletes it. And now we only have one item for the 24th of July. The CRM continuously tracks total scheduled activity for the selected month. That will mean we have 0 activities in June, which also makes sense. We don't have any green boxes. Then we have a bunch of green boxes, and that will be 10 activity per month. This is not 10 days, it's 10 activity. So now we only have one per day, but we can have multiple activities. So it's not days, it's tracking, it's full activities for the month. Then we have button previous and button next. That allows us to jump back and forth between months. User can quickly navigate through future and historical workloads, which we're seeing here. It jumps back and forth of the months. Now let's plan an entire client engagement from discovery meeting through follow-up and project delivery. Let's say here we have Michael Brown with his 3 services for data dashboard, reporting, automatic, and an Excel optimization. All complete. But let's say he contacts us again and wants a CRM. Then go to Planning Center, and today we have the 13th. So let's say we have a call with him on Monday, the 15th. So June 15, we have a discovery call. A discovery meeting with Michael Brown. And we just label it meeting. Initial consultation to discuss CRM requirements and business processes. Then we click save. And now we have scheduled it here on the 15th. Let's just say, to keep this simple, 1 week after we want to schedule a follow-up. So we review a proposal for the same client. So now we are standing on the 22nd of June, and we're gonna call the title Proposal Review. Client was Michael Brown, and we label this as a follow-up. Reviewing proposal CRM solution, timeline, and implementation plan.
Click Save. And now we have to schedule activities. Let's say we're then 1 week after, we're gonna have a kickoff of the project. So we're gonna actually start the project. We can call that project kickoff for Michael Brown. And we can select project and write begin CRM implementation and onboarding process. Click Save. Schedule saved. And now you can see we have these 3 activities. That was the whole idea with this CRM planning. A quick small adjustment. In our calendar, I made 7 labels on top, so we know the weekdays, Monday to Sunday. This is simple, just 7 labels you put on top. A small change, but very important. If you like this video, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. More videos are coming and you don't want to miss out on what an amazing tool we're building here in this series. At this point, our CRM can manage clients, services, communication history, tasks, operations, workflows, and now scheduling. The system no longer just stores information. It's becoming a complete operation platform for managing day-to-day business activities. In this lesson, we're going to take it a step further by building a complete document generation system directly inside the CRM. The Document Center allows us to generate professional client-facing documents using data that already exists inside our workbook. Instead of manually creating proposals, onboarding documents, and meeting summaries, we'll automate the entire process using Word templates, placeholder replacements, and PDF generation. To make it easier to follow along, you can download the starter template, including with this lesson. The download contains the user form structure along with the 3 Word templates we'll be working with throughout the project. Proposal template, client onboarding template, client meeting summary template. By the end of this lesson, you'll have a fully automated document generation system capable of creating professional PDFs for your clients with just a few clicks. Before we're beginning, there's one important requirement for this system to work correctly. Inside the same folder as your CRM workbook, create a folder named Templates. This folder will store the 3 Word templates used by Document Center. The document generation system automatically looks for these templates when creating client documents. As long as the templates folder exists and the files are named correctly, the CRM will handle the rest of the process automatically. Your folder structure should look like this. As always, let's build. Our CRM can now automatically generate proposals, onboarding documents, and client summaries directly from client records. Let's generate a professional proposal in just a few clicks. We click Generate Document and the system will create a PDF from our details we just filled in using the document section, client information, service information, and proposal details. We can see the details from the form on the left and see the proposal template on the right. The onboarding document requires no additional user input because all information already exists inside the CRM. So for onboarding documents, we simply use document selection, client information, and service information. Meeting summaries pull information directly from notes into Document Center. So when we create client summary and meeting documents, we'll use document selection, client information, service information, and the section on the far right, client summary, meeting notes. And that's the 3 documents we will create in this video. Let's insert a user form, get rid of the caption and name it FRM Document Center, set the height to 460 and width to 885. Then we have a title on top and insert some frames for each section. And we'll insert a header for each frame. Document section, client information, service information, proposal details, client summary, meeting notes, output folder. And then we insert our combo boxes, document type, client, and service. And then we have client name and company name with our labels that we populate from the code. And the same with service name, service price, project start, target completion.
Then in proposal detail, we have our overview and our deliveries 1 to 4. Client summary, we have our meeting topic, our meeting notes, and then we have a follow-up date. And in our output folder, we have a text box where we have our output folder and a browse button. Then on the right, we have 3 buttons: generate document, open folder, and clear. And let's have a note on the button and move things around and make it look better. And let's replace delivery 5 is payment terms. And here's the form. Now it's time for the code breakdown. Let's double click on the form and we're in the user form initialize. The form loads document types, clients, and meeting topics when initialized. Users can generate 3 different document types from a single interface. Clients are located directly from the CRM database. So we use our old sheet clients and run a loop from 2 to last row and populate our combo box CMB clients from column B. That's what we're seeing here. Let's have a document type here. And then we select a client. Let's select David Clark. And then we have his information down here, and his service information will be loaded from when we select a service. So when we double click on the combo box, we go into the code when there's a change in the combo box when we select a client. Client details are populated dynamically while linked services are loaded automatically. Services remain connected through client IDs, ensuring users only see relevant projects. Again, this was what we were seeing here. Now we see Michael Brown's services. And now we see Sophia's services. So it constantly updates when we select a new client up here. The interface adapts based on the selected document type. It enable and disable fields depending on what document we are selecting. For example, if we're selecting proposal, then it will disable client summary. And since onboarding doesn't need more required fields, when we select onboarding, it will disable both proposal field and client summary field. And if we select client summary as our document, it will disable proposal field. That's how this works, which will basically mean we select proposal here, and now you can see this section is grayed out and we cannot click in it. Same goes from onboarding. Now both fields cannot be edited because we have all the details here on the left. If we select client summary, the proposal details fields is disabled, so we cannot click it because we need to fill in client summary. This is protection to don't confuse the user, so the person only needs to fill in the fields that is necessary for that document. We have a centralized styling system that ensures every control follows a consistent design language. This is the styling we've been using throughout this video. Then we have our browse button. Users can select where generated documents should be saved. Then we have our open folder button. Generated files remain accessible directly from the CRM with just one click. And our clear button clears all the fields, so the form can quickly reset while preserving the selected output location. Our generate document button. Before generation begins, the CRM verifies that all required information is present. The CRM automatically determines which word template to use. Client-specific folders are created automatically when required. At the core of this system is a simple but powerful placeholder engine. Excel sends data into Word by replacing placeholders inside our templates. This line tells Word to find the client name placeholder and replace it with the selected client from the CRM. The same logic applies to company information. Service data also
comes directly from the CRM service database. Pricing is pulled from the selected service and injected directly into the proposal. Proposal-specific fields come from manual inputs inside the document center. Deliveries are dynamically inserted into the scope section of the proposal. Payment terms are also inserted dynamically based on project requirements. The onboarding template is simpler because it only uses data that already exists in the CRM. Project start and due dates come directly from the selected service record. Meeting summaries introduce a second type of input. Live notes captured during meetings. Meeting topics are selected from predefined categories. Long-form meeting notes can be inserted directly into the summary document. Follow-up dates ensure next steps are clearly documented. The reusable procedure replaces placeholders throughout each document template. Proposal-specific fields are inserted only when generating proposals. Meeting-specific fields are inserted only when generating client summaries. Templates remain untouched while new documents are generated automatically. Every document is also exported as a professional PDF. Notice how the CRM have evolved from storing information to actively producing business assets. That's where automation starts creating real value. And now let's start generating the documents. Let's generate all 3 document types from start to finish. Let's start with the proposal. Now you can see this section got grayed out and disabled. Then we select a client. Let's select John Carter. And then let's select the website setup. Now we can see all his details here below. In project overview, we insert a custom website setup for Apex Consulting designed to establish a professional online presence, improve credibility, and generate new client entry. Our first delivery could be custom website design and layout. Our second delivery could be responsive optimization. And our third delivery can be contact form and lead capture setup. And our delivery basic SEO configuration and launch support. Payment terms 50% upfront before project start, remaining 50% due upon project completion. Then we browse for a folder and we just select this on the desktop. I created a folder called CRM. We just click that and generate document. Document created successfully. And now we can open folder. Then we have Apex Consulting here that we just created. And we created both the Word document so we can edit the document. Let's have a look here. So we can edit the template if we need it. You can see it filled in with John Carter's information, website setup, and what we just filled in. Let's have a look at the PDF. So here we can see all the information from the form on the left, all the placeholders that has been successfully replaced in the PDF for our proposal for Apex Consulting. We can see we have client name John Carter, service website. We have client's name, client's company, and client's email. And we can see the project overview that we filled in the proposal details and the 4 deliveries and our payment terms. So that's how you create the proposal document. We could clear here because now we're gonna take a look at the onboarding document. Let's just click onboarding here. Now both fields are disabled because we only need this section to create the document. Let's just create it for John Carter again. And the website setup, let's say we need to onboard him. And then we have our folder here and we click generate document. Document generated successfully. We can open folder again. And it hasn't created a new folder because the folder was already existing. So we click in here and now we can see we also have the onboarding Apex Consulting in Word and PDF format. Let's open the PDF and now you can see that it's been using the client's details for document selection, client information, and service information. Now let's generate the last document, client summary. We can see the field for proposal details has been disabled. We're going to select Sarah Lee and her CRM setup service. All the details on the left here is displayed perfectly. And then we select meeting topic, strategy session, meeting notes, discussed automation opportunities for price solutions, onboarding process, reviewed the current CRM setup, and identified minor steps that can be replaced with automated workflows. Client is interested in future reporting dashboards for tracking sales and service performance. Document generated successfully. Then we open folder, and we can see here now we also have a folder for Bright Solutions. So we click on that, and we have two documents. A Word document where you can edit your templates if you need, but also a client summary in PDF format. We click on the PDF. And here we can see the client's name, company and email is shown, and the service and the date. I see we forgot the next follow-up date, but that's simple. We can just enter a follow-up date here, 10 of July, for example, and generate document. Document generated successfully, open folder. And again, we click in on Bright Solutions, client summary, and notice the follow-up date has been entered here under next follow-up. Then we have our strategy session and our meeting notes here under meeting notes. That's how to make a document generation module inside your CRM. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. Your CRM can already manage clients, track services, log activity, and in the last part, so generate professional documents automatically. In this part, we're gonna make it send emails. We are building a full email automation system inside Excel. Email templates selection, dynamic placeholder replacement, attachment support, and automatic email logging, all from one form. If you want to follow along, there's a starter template linked in the description. Let's build it. In the previous videos, we made already 2 email automation buttons. Here on the right, that sends a reminder on overdue services, and one open client email. It's up to you if you want to keep them. I'm gonna keep send reminder, but we could also have that in our email form we're building here today. But I will delete the open client email, because we can do that from the form with templates and better structure. Again, total up to you, but I would delete the open client email. I would click on it first and remove the code inside, just so we don't have all codes inside. Then I would delete the button, move the document up here, like so, and then we are ready to move on. A business lesson: when you're creating software and automation systems, you don't get it perfectly upfront. You have to adjust and test what works, and later down the road, when you're building the project, you might find out that you have to delete some stuff or pivot it or adjust it or improve it. That's how you build a good system that is tested and really thought about how it should operate. So you build something, you understand it better while you're building it, and then you build the right version. That email button wasn't a mistake, it was just a starting point. Let's enter the user form and let's get rid of the caption and set height to 490 and width to 510. Let's enter the title on top, called email automation. Set to the text in the middle and font size 20. Now we need client, service, templates, and subject boxes. We have 3 combo boxes: client, service, and templates we select from, and a subject line. This line will be filled in from our template. Then we have our body, which is a text box with multi-line. Let's move it down a little bit and move things around. Then we have our list box for attachments. And 2 buttons on top where we can add and remove. And then we have a send button. Let's move things around. And then we insert a label below body text, which will function as a warning in case we are having a template with placeholders. That means you haven't selected a client or service yet. And this is our email form. Then we name it FRM email automation. And we copy paste the button and call it email. This will open the email call it BTN email, double click, and write the code FRM email automation.show, and this will open the form. Now we will take a look at the combo boxes that will populate client, service, and template data. And we will also set it up so if you select the client in the client list box on the left, the email automation form will automatically load with that client in the client combo box in the email form. We have the user form here. We double click on it. The form loads clients and templates from the CRM database when it opens. Templates are read directly from the email template sheet and loaded into the dropdown. So it loads it from this sheet, email template sheet, where there are templates, template name, category, subject, and our email text. So we can pick follow-up after proposal, onboarding welcome, service completed, appointment reminder, payment reminder, and so on. And you can keep adding new templates. Selecting a client triggers service loading and reapplies templates placeholders. This is what we see here. Let's have the onboarding welcome services. We have the service name placeholder, missing placeholder service, and when we select client poll, it updates. Services are filtered by client ID, so users only see projects relevant to the selected client. Switching templates immediately populates subject and body with placeholder resolved content. The CRM finds the selected template, then replace every placeholder with the live data from the form. If any placeholder remains unresolved, a visible warning alerts the user before sending. So this is what we saw before. When we select a template, it says that we're missing placeholder client and service. We find here client name and service name because we haven't selected anything. And it updates when we fill in the placeholders and select our client and services. Selecting a service re-triggers template population, so all service-specific placeholders resolve. So this is the populate template fields referring up here, that we are referring up here in the change CMB service. Our style form is following the same logic from our other parts of this CRM build, so I'm not going to go in depth with that. But it's a centralized styling procedure applies to dark theme consistently across every control. Then we have our two buttons, the add and remove attachments in our emails. File dialog lets users attach any file before sending. Multiple selections are supported. And the remove button, selected attachment can be removed before the email is opened in Outlook. So in case we've added a wrong file, we can remove it. We're going to see that later. This is the email lock we've seen before. Finally, our email sent button. Before opening Outlook, the system validates that a client, subject, and body are all filled in. The CRM creates a new Outlook email, populates all fields, attach files, then display it. And you can change this line .display to .send if you want them to be sent out directly. I like it with .displayed because that gives you a chance to look at it and confirm it yourself before sending it out. Every sent email is recorded automatically with timestamp, client, service, subject, template, and attachments. After sending, the email log sheet updates automatically. No manual tracking required. In the document part, we built the document center, and one of the documents we created was this onboarding PDF right here. It's saved, it's linked to the client, it's ready to go. Now, what happens when you actually need to send this to a client? Just a quick note here, we are selecting John Carter and his service website setup, even though the website setup is marked as complete, and we're sending him an onboarding document. That doesn't make sense from a business point of view. Why would we send an onboarding document when the project is already completed? This is just to demonstrate the email automation form we just created. But I think you understand the logic behind the demo and the video we've been creating here today. So open the form and pick the client, John Carter, and open the email. You can see it opens up with his name. Then we select the project, website setup, and select the template, onboarding welcome. Now you can see the subject line and the body automatically get filled in. The subject line, welcome on board, John Carter. And the body says, hi John Carter, welcome on board. Thank you for choosing us. We're excited to work with you on website setup. Your onboarding process is now on the way and we'll keep you updated throughout each stage of the project. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Best regards, Jacob Automation. So you can see the template is using the placeholder, client name, and the service name placeholder. Then we're going to add a document. We select John Carter's company, Apex Consulting, and we select the onboarding document. Let's pick the Word document first. I want to show you here. We pick the Word document first and realize, no, this is a mistake. We send out PDFs, so the documents cannot be edited. Then we add the PDF onboarding document instead, and now we're ready to send it. We click send, and the email populates. And a message box pops up, email opened in Outlook and locked. And here we have the two things in this setup. We have the form on the left and the email on the right. So we can see it's filled in with client's email, the subject line, the file we just attached, and the text from the text box body from the form. We can just open the PDF just to double check. And you can see it's the same document, the client onboarding document. That's what we built here today. Please like and subscribe if you got value out of this video. I really appreciate it. And let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. Now let's get into the email templates sheet, and we can see here are the templates we used. Now let's go to email log. The CRM didn't just send an email, it recorded it. That's the difference between a tool and a system. You can see here on row 11 that I mark with yellow that we have all the data stored in our email log sheet. Which template we used, which client we sent to, a timestamp, and which files were attached. That's the complete email automation system. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you liked the video and make sure to subscribe. We now have client selection, email templates, placeholders, and a full log sheet, all running inside of your CRM. There's a starter template in the description if you want to build it yourself. We built a complete CRM system from the ground up. Client management, service tracking, notes, tasks, analytics, scheduling, document generation, and email automation. In this part, we're connecting it all together. We're going to link the document center directly to the email automation form so you can generate a document and send it to a client in a single click. We are also adding KPI cards to the main dashboard, giving you a live overview of your clients, active services, and revenue directly inside CRM. And at the end, we're deploying the system, locking it down and making it ready to hand off or use in a real business. This is the final. Let's finish it. We are in the CRM form. Now let's expand the height to 625 to make room for the KPI cards and also correct it in the code. Now we move the two elements down so there are room on top for the cards. Then we insert a frame. I set the height to 55 and width to 125. Then we insert two labels. The top one is the title, total clients, and one with a 0 that counts the actual number. Set it font to 12. Copy paste the card so we have 4. Move them around and change the text to active clients, open services, emails this month. And this is our form with our cards on top. Now let's take a look at the code breakdown for the KPI cards here. We double click on the form. Refresh KPIs is the engine behind the dashboard. It reads straight from clients, services, and email/log and calculates each number line. So it's using our sheets to count how many lines we have. Every time the CRM opens, refresh KPIs runs automatically, so the dashboard is always up to date. We can see here we have 10 clients. Let's add a new client. Let's see if we have John Carter. Let's just add John Doe. from ABC Consulting, email ABC Consulting at example.com, number +1 22 66 88, status active, add client, client added, and now you can see total clients went from 10 to 11 and active clients went from 6 to 7. This is what we have in add, edit, and delete. We have call refresh KPIs, the submodule we just went through. You can see here, we call it here also in the edit button and in the delete button. So every client action, adding, editing, and deleting, refreshes the dashboard immediately after. Let's run a test more again, just to see it with the edit. Let's say now we edit this client we just added to inactive. Edit, and you will see the numbers change. Client updated, and you can see now active clients went down from 7 to 6. Delete this client and all related services. Yes. Client deleted successfully. When we click OK, the numbers also will update. You see here, it went down from total clients 11 to 10. This is the difference between a spreadsheet and a system. The business owner sees what's happening without digging through rows and cells in a spreadsheet. Now let's find a service that is not complete. For example, the automation script that Sophia Walker has. We can mark it as complete here or change the status here also. But we can also manage it through tasks. And the idea is when we complete all the tasks within the service, it should update automatically. Let's see that first in action, and then we jump into the code. So click on build automation logic and mark that as complete. Task completed, 2 out of 3 tasks completed, 67%. And then the pending marked as complete. And now 3 out of 3 tasks completed, 100%. The idea is when you click here, it should update the service label. And you can see here, now it's updated the service to complete. Let's break down the code for how this works, how it updates the label to complete. If you have completed all your tasks, as we saw here, within the service of the automation script, then it should update the labeling. Now we go to our task form, double click, and then we'll just write on error, resume next, and write FRM CRM, load service by ID, current service ID. So the sync service status already exists on the task side. The missing piece was telling the CRM to reread it when we close down. So we already have the sync service status here from our previous chapter in this build that updates the current service ID status. We just had to call it here in the userform query close, meaning when you click on the red cross here, it should update as we saw in the demo. We adjusted the button so completing a task also pushes the updated status back to the CRM in real time. That's also what we saw here when we open tasks and we have 1 out of 3 tasks completed and service is marked with overdue. If we then complete all the tasks, so now all tasks within the service is completed, and when we click on this, the label will update to complete. Like this. Edit and delete a task and the CRM reflects this immediately. No refresh, no reopen. You saw it went from complete to overdue because we have 2 overdue tasks here. So it also works the other way around, as we just saw. Let's just complete it, close it, and it will update. Let's open again, just to give you a clear example how it works. Let's instead mark this as in progress, edit task. So now we have 2 out of 3 tasks again, and now it should update the label to not complete. And you can see here, it changed it from complete to overdue because we still have a pending task in progress. So the 2 systems works together. Now we're gonna jump into the deployment module. What we have here is the deployment of the CRM where we hide all these sheets. And we're gonna do that with this module. Before the CRM goes to a client, we run one command that hides every data sheet and only leaves one sheet. This is what you see here. We run it. CRM deploys successfully. And now we only have the starter sheet, and the CRM will still work even though the sheets are not shown. And you cannot find them down here in unhide because they are hidden within Visual Basic. You can see them inside here, for example, clients, sheet very hidden. And you can change it to visible and it will be visible again. The reason why we do this is to keep the system very simple and only have the sheet open that is relevant. The rest works as backend sheets for the system. You just watched the complete build of the full CRM system in Excel VBA. From a workbook with starter sheets to deployed business system with client management, service tracking, automation workflows, document generation, and email integration. If you build it alongside me, you now have a system that most businesses would commission the developer to build. That's not an exaggeration. If you want the finished version ready to use without going through the build yourself, it's available as a download. Link is in the pinned comment below. It's the exact system from this video. Dark userform interface, all features included, ready to run in Excel. If this video was useful, subscribe. I build systems like this regularly and there's more coming. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.